What's up, guys? I wanted to show y'all my newest little project here. This is my 1990 Ford Crown Victoria. I bought for $400. We had to break the ignition on it because the guy that I got it from lost the keys before I got there. Bought it out of Oklahoma. It's got a clear title. And we took a Dana 44 and a 9-inch out of it's like a 76, 77 extended cab half-ton F-150. It did have a leaf spring high pinion Dana 44 in it. It's got 36-inch IROCs on 15 by 10 wheels, which they stick out. I like the way that it sits, but I'm going to try to keep from having to hack too much of this fender out. So I'm going to have to wait until I can do a flex test to see just how much I'm going to have to cut, or if I'm going to have to change the wheels, because these are the ones that are turned around backwards, have like a 2.5-inch offset or a back spacing. This is my front leaf spring mount. Yeah, it's not all the way welded up, but this is all done on the factory Crown Vic frame. It's got Ford F-250 Super Duty rear leaf springs up front. Yeah, I'm going to cut the overload out. I do have a drilled and tapped gearbox off of a Ford Ranger, and I'm going to put on it. It's going to have hydro assist steering. It will have mini spools front and rear. The car does have a little bit of damage on this side. Looks like they run down a guardrail or something. Not real bad, but anyway, ain't gonna hurt my feelings none. The rear end, of course, is a Ford 9-inch. It has 63-inch later model Chevrolet leaf springs. I didn't like the big drop shackle that came on the leaf springs, but after I got it all set up in here, the car sits pretty level with no block in the rear, which I've got a block in it right now, but it's just upside down because I didn't have the right U-bolts to make it work, which ain't no big deal. I'll get some U-bolts for it, but I needed to see how the ride height was going to sit and see if I had to add block to it or not. I did do a 2-inch body lift on it, and the reason being is because I wanted to have enough clearance in the tranny tunnel for a transmission and transfer case. Now we'll go up under the car. Hopefully we can see it. Here, y'all hold up. We'll be right back. Alright, before we get too carried away with raising it up, I wanted to show y'all. Got the floor cut out there's the transfer case shifter hole. And it's got a Chevrolet S10 T5 in it. I'm looking at changing the big booster out. That big huge sucker, for one of the small ones that goes on a Mustang, so that way I can put the slave cylinder right there beside it. I've got a hydraulic slave cylinder and wheel wood pedal set up and all that. Oh yeah, the best part about the car, I've only got 3 of these hubcaps and none of the centers. I need those centers right there, but I'm looking for a full set of these hubcaps and a full set of the centers. I'm gonna raise this. This thing's gonna make a bunch of noise. So I'm gonna pause this for a second. Alright, got it up in the air. We got a Mustang 5-liter bell housing with a like a square body S10 T5 transmission. It goes back to it had a 207C transfer case. And I cut the front output off of it and had a good buddy of mine, Brian Anthony. We took angle iron, bolted it together, and then welded the two halves to the transfer case so you can still pull the transfer case body apart. So there's that. And then we have a short drive shaft that runs back to a Divorce 205 transfer case. I just built the front drive shaft for it. Goes up to a carrier bearing. There's my rear shackle mounts, or the front leaf spring shackle mounts on the back side of the frame. I am going to come in, plate this, and then we're going to have a bar that runs from there all the way back to here, and it will tie into the frame on both sides, and then I'll actually have cross members that go up and above this rear drive shaft, so that it basically gives me 2 or 3 different cross members to tie this frame back in, because a car frame only has the engine cross member and the one above the rear axle, which is nowhere near enough for what I'm wanting to do. Now, I did come in and weld this 2x3 quarter wall square tubing. That serves as my leaf spring mounts for the rear, and also gives me a good sturdy cross member to work off of. The donor truck that we got the axles from had all good drive shafts in it. So what I did was, this is the original front drive shaft with the CV in it, and being that the rear shaft is going to be so short, I moved it to the back. Now I'll have to roll the pinion angle up. I mean, I haven't cut the pads or nothing. All I did was bolted this thing in here so I could start mocking everything up. So, and then this shaft here was actually the rear drive shaft out of the truck. Comes up here, and then there is the long side of it that I've already cut down to put in the front. I'm gonna have to redo this though, because it's a little high, which I'd rather it be high than low. But the problem is, I'm gonna have to grind a bunch out of this yoke for droop, and I really don't want to grind a whole bunch out of it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna rebuild this cross member, and I'm gonna drop this down to about right there, and then that way that'll be a little better on our angle, a little straighter angle. And plus, this drive shaft runs uphill anyway. If you look at it, it's running uphill anyway. So, but just wanted to show y'all a little bit of my new project. Good old hockey puck body lift, and no, I don't have any bolts in it yet. I gotta go to a bolt store and actually get all the metric bolts. So I have to build a bracket for here, for this ear. All I did was re-drilled the T5 or the Mustang bell housing to fit the GM transmission. And then I bought a 26 spline 10.5 inch clutch disc that will fit my Ford clutch. And I got the pilot bushing that goes from the small block Ford to a 4-cylinder transmission, which will be the same as the GM pilot bushing, or the GM pilot on the input shaft. So get a better look at this cross member there. Welded in there. Like I say, it's not finished welding, and then I will come back in and we'll put a big plate gusset from there to there. The factory shocks, they were so bad whenever I unbolted them, they just unbolted right out of the body. But what I'm going to do is just weld tabs right here on the back side of the housing and run the shocks with a stem at the top and eyelet at the bottom. And she'll be able to use maybe even a factory rear shock. And like I say, we got the Ford Ranger gearbox. We're going to pull this one out, put the Ford Ranger gearbox in it, and I'm probably going to build a high steer arm and then come over and drill and tap this so that I can do crossover steering on it. It's going to have hydraulic assist, but I don't want to go from here to here with a tie rod like a Ford would be with a coil spring truck. If I could get it out here, it'd be a little different, but I think it'd be a little drastic. So anyway, as far as the body lift, the only thing I got to modify is the fan shroud, in which I may look into doing like a 4.6 liter Mustang fan or a Taurus fan or something like that, just to eliminate that fan altogether. I will come in here and trim out these control arm pockets. But oh, there is all kinds of room for a winch. Let me get a tape measure. Well, 9.5 inches to the front bumper, and more if I was to pull that little brace out. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the license plate bracket off, cut a hole in the bumper so that the roller fair lead sits right behind this, put this back on so that it sits flush just like it is now, which completely hides the winch. And then I'll come back in here and trim all this out so that the roller fair lead will go up inside the bumper. I think it'll be pretty trick. I want the fair lead sitting all the way out by the edge there, up in there, so that whenever you pull the license plate bracket off, there'll be your winch. And you can reach up underneath here, or go, when you open the hood, there's a big enough hole to get my arm down through there to free spool it or whatever. So, but anyway, that's my 90 model Crown Vic. Vague Industries is organizing a run from New Hampshire to Arizona, somewhere April, May, June, somewhere around in there. Now, I'm not driving up to New Hampshire and then going and then coming all the way back down. I am in East Texas, but I figure they'll be coming close to me. So my plan is, and it's all four-wheel drive cars that were never meant to be four-wheel drive is what it is. Road trip, overland type, wheeling, must have a 33-inch tire and some kind of tow point. I'll be running a 35, 36. I'll have tow points, winch. Of course, my car will be locked front and rear. Plenty of crawl ratio. But I plan on doing a little bit of everything with this car. Rock crawling. You know, if somebody wants to go to a mud park or something, ride, I'll go out there and ride around. I'm not going to put it in any deep mud or anything like that, but I'll take it and ride around, ride trails, go get groceries, take the wife out on a date, whatever we want to do. So anyway, I'll keep y'all updated, or I'll try to keep y'all updated and show you the progress. Hopefully next couple weeks you'll be ready to go. I appreciate it. See y'all later.